right. Let's. I hope you all are ready. We're gonna get started now. Okay, I still gotta improve my intros, but hello, welcome everyone. I hope you're ready to to honest to learn about one of the wackiest movements of the 20th century, Posadism. Honestly, I don't know why. I chose this topic primarily because I got a little pamphlet. I ordered it recently, and so I wanted to read. It's like, this could be a fun topic. Why not? Alright, but if you were. If my read debut, you would know. Yeah, this. This is what we're going to be reading today. It's just a little pamphlet containing his ideas. But before that, we're gonna give a little presentation just to give y'all a little bit of context on what exactly it is we're going to be discussing and talking about. All right, so I hope y'all are all having a good day, and I hope you're ready. Feel free to send any questions or messages in chat. I'll always see them. All right. So, first off, who was Posadas? Well, he isn't a real person. Not in the sense that wasn't his real name. J. Posadas was a pseudonym for Homero Romu. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry if anyone speaks Spanish or Italian, if I'm not good at foreign pronunciation. Posadis was a pseudonym for Omero Romulo Cristalli Frasnelli, who was an Italian Argentinian Trotskyist. He was originally involved with the Fourth International in Latin America and South America, but like Trots typically do, he split and formed his own Fourth International, the Fourth International Posadist. So, then, the question is then, what is the Fourth International Posadist? So, what is Posadism? Well, it's an offshoot of the ideology of Trotskyism, which was a current of far left thought within the Soviet Union that coalesced primarily around Leon Trotsky. Main characteristics were the ideas of permanent revolution, basically that there must be a continuous struggle and war waged against the capitalist powers and of the West, against the West, as opposed to the ideas of the center and right opposition within the Soviet Union, which coalesced around socialism in one country, which was the idea of building up the state at home before attempting to engage in any activities abroad. And it was also opposed to what Trotsky deemed as the socialist bureaucracy, basically the idea that especially under Stalin, the Soviet or socialist state consolidated itself as a self-serving bureaucracy or bureaucratic movement. Hello, Pierre Furgan. I hope you're ready to read about this, but right now I'm just giving just a little bit of historical context behind this. But Posadism had its own unique characteristics. The most notable of which was the belief in a nuclear first strike. He believed that nuclear weapons were the ultimate weapon and would serve as a progressive move towards advancing the ideas of socialism. Because the idea that Posadis believed was that using nuclear weapons, they would be able to strike both the capitalist powers and the quote-unquote bureaucratic worker states of the Soviet Union and China. And also, he believed that contact should be made with extraterrestrials and that to call them to intervene in our affairs. But how much of this is actually true? There's, ever since his death, and especially with its kind of resurgence with internet meme culture, there's just a lot of confusion of what he actually believed, and so what is myth and what is reality. Like I said, a lot of it is blown out of proportion thanks to internet and meme culture, especially with the whole dolphin communication thing. uh, yeah. So that, of course, that leads us to ask, what did he actually believe? And I think the best way to do that is to go straight to the source, which is what we are going to be doing today. Alright, so with that little presentation out of the way, let's get to the reading. Right. You didn't see that. I didn't see that. Alright. I just give you a minute so I can slip these gloves on. Alright, so we have right here a nice little pamphlet called Dolphins and Extraterrestrials, or Fraternal Comrades. It is a collection of 2 of his works done as an April Fool's joke and publishing by Red Prince Publishing. So, ugh. Honestly, it's kind of, especially with how small it is, it's kind of difficult to turn the pages. I might need to, this might end up becoming a hand reveal stream. We'll just see. Right. Here's the man himself. Posadism. Ooh. Alright. Now. Let's see. Yeah. Note from the editor. This book was released on April 1st of 2023. This is not a coincidence. Right. It's actually, is there a way I can bring this closer? Alright. My hand cam's kind of like, it's dirty, but it will be fine. Wait, hold up. So this little pamphlet contains 2 works within it. Oh my gosh. Half the stream is going to be me fumbling around with the pages at this rate. Alright, so 2 books included in here are Flying Saucers, The Process of Matter and Energy, Science and Socialism, and then The Relationship with Animals and Socialism. Alright, you know what? I don't know if I can actually keep this up with, because these are really thick gloves and it makes it kind of difficult to turn the page, and honestly, I'm kind of only just the only reason I'm using gloves right now is because everyone else does it. All the other VTubers do it, and it helps keep a little bit of the illusion, but I don't know. It's like, if it gets too much in the way, I'll just take it off. Let's see. Okay, so this is a transcription of a speech he did on the 26th of June, 1968. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to find a good place to put my microphone, but... Alright. Life can exist on other planets, in other solar systems, in other galaxies and universes. The passage of matter from its inorganic state to the organic... can have happened there differently from Earth, allowing for energy to be used in a superior way. Here, we barely know how to make best use of oil, and in a very limited way, the nuclear energy we dispose of. Other beings, on the contrary, may be on the way to exploiting all the energy existing in matter, all the energy that we still do not know how to use on Earth, and it turns into light. It may be that on other planetary systems or galaxies, matter organizes itself differently. in infinite combinations or in forms totally different to what we know on Earth. We cannot imagine what this may be, but we imagine very well that there can be an organization of energy infinitely superior to what we know on Earth. In the Soviet Union, studies are conducted on the possibility to surpass the speed of light. This may have been acquired on other planets several million years ago and be already in use. Alright, of course I'm going to be interjecting with my own commentary. Of course, we know now generally that under our current laws of physics, faster than light travel is not possible because it breaks the basic principle of causality, basically the chain of cause and effect. Because if faster than light travel could be possible, you could have the effect of an action happen before its cause, and that breaks all our current laws of physics. Let's see. Yeah, surpassing the speed of light, that already is a problem. Correct. Alright. Whilst it takes us X time to get from one continent to another, other beings may be doing it in half a second. Such are the factors that enter, in the end, the concept of life and the organization of matter. The energy used by those beings must have a property and a force infinitely superior to anything we know. One can perfectly conceive of a being that, by just raising a hand, produces light, attracts, rejects, or organizes energy. Ooh. You know what? This is just, I'm sorry. Immersion break. Immersion break. The gloves are a bit too thick. The time dilation can allow for beings to make the journey without dying of old age before the game. That is true, yeah. So, when it comes to traveling, like time travel, we actually very much can do time travel, but it's only forward in time. You can't go back, but yeah. We are used to seeing and assessing life on Earth in the commercial sense of private property, up to the worker states. We do this with the feeling of possession upon which the development of capitalist society is based, and such reasons that capitalism's view of existence and of other worlds. Science being submitted to those who pay, it is only to see how to exploit and dominate that our society plans trips to other planets. Science is not independent. It is not comparable to the activity of growing a plant, because when we do, we can still decide what we reap in spite of being subject to nature. The things are different when it comes to science, because it's subjected to those who pay. How can astronomers or physicists find the means to practice and research? They cannot do it without money, and they have not the individual financial means. They end up being financed by a capitalist state or by the Soviet state. Okay, we have a footnote. As this was written in 1968, the author refers to the state of the Soviet Union. They raise scientific teams, but the scientific capabilities of those teams are made to operate within the confines of what interests the capitalist states or the bureaucratic leadership of the worker states. Hold on, surely I can bring this. Sorry, I want to ensure y'all kind of get a good view. Because that's kind of the whole point of the hand cam, but I think I can't really do much. Yeah, it's really not good quality, but it'll probably be fine. That is why our knowledge of matter, physics, or astronomy is so embryonic. As yet, we do not have a real knowledge of our surroundings. We constantly revise the bases of the discoveries around Newton, Einstein, and all the other scientists, but the forms and combinations of matter are infinite, and there are forces that we do not use even within ourselves. We must discover the power of what is possible to do. The force that enables us to raise an arm, for example, is called kinetic energy. Why this energy? What drives the activity of the cells? Since there is no external impulsion, and the movement of the arm is triggered from within, what is this force? It is a source of energy that is developed with anteriority, because what permits us to conceive that the arm must be raised already exists beforehand in the mind. Again, it's important to keep in mind that this was originally written back in 1968, and so he, of course, did not have access to a lot of the scientific knowledge that we do now. One Japanese scholar advanced the conclusion, rather like our own concerning earthquakes. He said that it was criminal to waste the energy of earthquakes, and that it is possible to inject into the Earth's system somewhat like radars, to measure all the movement in gases below, and the internal displacement still unknown to scientists due to gases or movements caused by the sun or the rotation of the Earth. The Japanese scholar also said that we can predict, contain, deviate, and indeed make use of this energy. The Posadas said the same thing at the time of the 1961 Chilean earthquake. We do not have enough scientific knowledge to grasp how the organization of matter could have led to the form of life and reproduction particular to Earth. Our scientific capacity is curbed by the lack of possibilities, and the economic means is dedicated to this study. Those with the means are the capitalists, and their capitalist interests signify an immense limitation. Because capitalism views the world through appropriation and the utilization of property, observation is without ability and audacity, and knowledge is bounded to particular interests and social prejudices. This shows clearly in the instance of the problems raised by heart transplants. The capitalist mentality of the bourgeois researchers leaves them perspectiveless. They take no interest in anything, and there is no daring in their observations of the world. If they had any audacity and resolve, they would realize that they are not needed, and their existence is no longer justified. Limited and hampered as they are by their interests, they slap the same limits on science, physics, chemistry, or medicine. And this, already, just reading through it, just for my, I don't know, but this is a view more in line with traditional Marxist theories, and the idea that basically science is not something that's neutral, but it's shaped by various interest groups within society, and indeed whatever the dominant class within society is. We aren't at the wacky stuff just yet. There's no reason for this to be happening on other planets. The class struggle does not have to exist. It is on Earth that the process of history has played out like this, but there's no reason why it should be the same everywhere. Social organization can have forms infinitely superior, without struggle, without antagonism. There is no reason at all to fight. The beings in those places may be looking at us in astonishment and say, "Oh, they fight over a car, shooting and killing each other." It may even be that death does not exist for them as it does on Earth. The notion of death, the notion of extinction of matter or of cells, cannot be identical everywhere. The longest human lifespan reported is 160 years, although it is between 70 and 80 on average. It is the organization of matter under this form that allows this life duration. Our memory and life duration correspond to the particular way matter is organized on Earth. Can't we imagine living as long as we do, but in a different form? Now he's channeling Tsiolkovsky. Yeah. So, really, the idea of... This was kind of what I talked about at the beginning, but there's definitely a lot of exaggeration of, kind of his beliefs, especially with, the Dolphins. We'll get into more of that in the second pamphlet in this collection, but a lot of his ideas are kind of more in line with kind of just the, Russian cosmists, transhumanists, and Bogdanovists. Alright. Where did I leave off? Okay, hold up. Our memory of life and duration. Okay, can't we imagine living as long as we do, but in a different form? We do not know if beings exist in other systems or galaxies, or how they are constituted. but we believe that they can exist. Beings that may have left their homes 1 million years ago might be coming to study the Earth, to see how life on Earth is like. It is possible. We say 1 million years, but for those beings, this may be a number without importance, a normal measure. They couldn't have the same notion of time as we do. For us, time has been and remains a notion that we have learned from a society divided into classes. It was to exploit nature that our society needed to measure time. This gave rise to a division of time that has no reason to exist. There are time lags, certainly, whether in seasons like spring, summer, autumn, and winter, although there may be planets without rain or seasons. Outside such things, however, time has no significance. Our interest in measuring time is relative to nature, to its impact on life, to the effects of its energy upon the organism. But for those who live on other planets, there's no reason why this should be so. Why should they have deadlines and billings, debts to pay by due dates, or the need for heart transplants? A being from another planet watching a heart transplant on Earth might ask, what could they possibly be making? Our notion of the origins of life is a learnt notion, and the corrections are being made to it every passing year. Take the example of how long ago we think human beings appeared on Earth. At first, people spoke of 500,000 years, then a million years. Now the first anthropoid is thought to have appeared some 17 million years ago. Honestly, I don't really... This is like my second read-through of it. I don't quite get the point he's trying to make here. I mean, time is definitely very much like socially constructed, because in physics, time itself isn't really a thing, because with the various different theories of the structure of space-time, it very much might not even exist in actual reality. It could just be an illusion of perception, because we only perceive time as going towards one direction. Okay. The dialectical conception of history. For various parts of the world, much information regarding UFOs, unidentified flying objects, coincides. This many coincidences cannot all be exaggeration, and people who do not believe in ghosts or spirits say that they have seen extraterrestrials. We believe and admit that these beings exist. The majority of those who have seen them say that they are normal beings, and many people have already seen UFOs. About an airplane that disappeared after having struck a strange object, the General MacArthur, this Yankee murderer said, "Perhaps we and the Soviets will have to make war against an enemy external to Earth." But this guy's conciliation has its limits. Capitalism has nothing invested in UFOs, so it does not research the subject. Its interest disengages from where it cannot see anything profitable or useful for it. But in the matter of UFOs, people see a possibility to advance and progress. In this, the bourgeoisie displays its complete uselessness, accelerating, therefore, the approach of its demise. All those who report having met extraterrestrials or UFO concur that they have not been afraid. Without any audible exchange, the witnesses were made to understand that the visitors meant no harm. The latter arose no feelings of alarm, but a feeling of serenity. They communicate gentleness, flexibility, harmony, and reassurance. They inspire no fear. Perhaps it is their movements that reassure, their facial expressions, or some other elements. But no witness has said, "I was scared. They spooked me." The visitors induce a positive sentiment, one of respect. They must emit some sort of rays that causes this sensation, if they exist. Oh, come on. If you're gonna talk so much about this, at least commit and say commit all the way. Alright. No one has reported having been attacked. There have been no manifestations of the wish to attack, rape, steal, or possess, just to observe. Starting from the fact that extraterrestrial beings can exist, one can admit that UFOs can exist too. It's possible that they come to Earth, although there may be much fantasizing and exaggeration going around. and mystical conclusions being drawn. We need to await further proofs, but some testimonies are from people who seem sensible. Neither in the capitalist system nor the bureaucracy neither the capitalist system nor the bureaucracy has an interest in researching this subject because they have no commercial, political, or military benefits to draw from it. But socialism is interested, and the masses too. In the face of a system it sees as superior, capitalism feels cut down to size. People say to it, "Look here, what is the good of you?" But however much the ruling class feels inferior, only the hope of some military gain will get it researching this. Meanwhile, it passes the matter off as fantasy to stop people from thinking there are superior forms of relations beyond the reach of capitalism. The workers' state will not act like this because it has an objective interest in the development of socialism. There have been many UFO sightings already, and testimonies have come to light in spite of all the camouflages. The ruling capitalist class, scientists, and military hide the facts, but the information still gets published in the whirlwind of all the current preoccupations. Preoccupations about war and revolutions, preparations for the final settlement of all accounts between capitalism and the world revolution, constant strikes and anger against the capitalist system, the occupation of factories and universities, land occupations. The whole world is in the grip of those problems, but people still take an interest in UFOs in spite of all their other concerns. About the extraterrestrials, we do not know what form they have or their numbers, but they must exist, else they would not appear like this. There are enough reasons why the capitalists could not be inventing at all. They wish to distract attention, certainly, but this goes against them. They can divert attention by using a concrete fact. This makes it even more obvious to everyone that capitalism is useless, whilst none of it stops the strikes, the factory occupations, the revolutions, the leap towards socialism. The preoccupation to study the UFO phenomena has not yet taken off in the worker states. The latter still have to concentrate on the necessity to live, but it is also because the bureaucracy conceals things. It definitely hides a lot of the findings, otherwise the people of the worker states would be experiencing forms of life superior to the present ones. Far from this, socialism has no fear of being compared with or integrated with into any higher form of progress. Indeed, it yearns for them. We have nothing to lose but our chains. This phrase of Marx can be applied to everything. Is it? Sorry. Okay, no, I thought it was raining outside. I think it's just my AC. Anyway, I hope y'all are enjoying this reading so far. Alright. The way some people keep on discussing the UFO topic is absurd, considering that millions others are dying of hunger. Those who preside over this division of the world are capitalism and the bureaucracy of the worker states. Our society is incapable of employing the possibilities that wait to be used within matter. Capitalism is aware of this inferiority, and so does the bureaucracy of the worker states. But in the worker states, researchers already exist for whom this is not a matter of inferiority or superiority. They reason that there may be galaxies, planetary systems, or universes where matter is fully utilized, and where the mayhem of hunger and class struggle has ended. They know that ruling classes can be eliminated, and they know that the system they know also that the system is superior to where this has been done. Those who come to Earth from other planets must think that we are all barking mad. There surely is no notion of fight and violence where they come from. The historic depth of what makes capitalism and the bureaucracy turn away from the study of UFOs and the existence of living beings in other worlds is the reading that they get there of their pending elimination. This is why they take no interest in the continuity of existence, the continuity of life, the continuity of the human being. They have no time for matters devoid of commercial use or unnecessary to the existence and perpetuation of capitalist power. But society keeps going regardless. The proletariat and socialism keep advancing. people open up to the idea of life on other planets, and this idea exists in the worker states too. So I'm just gonna put a brief pause there so we can talk a little bit about what we've read so far. So reading it, you can see that he earnestly believes that advanced civilizations, extraterrestrial civilizations, would not have any violent impulses. They would not be like we have been when countering. They basically, sorry, he's like they would not behave like the Europeans did when arriving in America or Africa. They do not have the same desire to conquer or to colonize like we did. Otherwise, when they've arrived, they would have already done it. And this is like it's like you can get a glimpse into this view of like he thinks aliens would be hippies, basically. Yeah, basically. He doesn't, because he believes that in order for a society to be able to advance past in order to be able to colonize the stars, they could not survive if they were constantly fighting and just like in conquest with desires. Honestly, I hope he's. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm definitely kind of sympathetic to the idea. I don't think that. Sorry, I think it's unlikely that a civilization will be able to progress, past, like, past just the home planet and into the stars if it's just constantly fighting with itself over resources, if there's just constant conflict, and if the civilization is unable to harmonize and focus on just development for all. But all right, let's keep reading. The existence of flying saucers and of beings coming to Earth is a phenomenon admissible by the dialectical conception of history. The most immediate conclusion is that we are able to draw is that these beings, if they exist, possess a social organization superior to our own. We've had the ability to nuke ourselves for a while, and we still both make progress and rage war on ourselves. Yeah, and I think, I mean, obviously I don't, but I think if you were to, like, if he saw the world of the modern day, I think he'd both be kind of a little impressed by the level of technological development we've achieved, but relative to his time, but also at the same time disappointed that we are still like just fighting against each other when in his mind and like theoretically we should be able to achieve like just there shouldn't be any need for fighting with the level of with how much technology we have. Since their appearance is not bellicose or aggressive, this means that they have no need for war, and that they come to Earth with no conquering aim. In the history of Earth, when populations have felt superior to others, they have invaded, with a view to conquering by means of war. The class struggle on Earth is the result of the organization of society into classes, owners against exploited, bourgeoisie against proletariat, and now the latter wanting to overthrow the bourgeoisie and build socialism. The behavior of those extraterrestrials, if they exist, does not seem aggressive. All the witnesses confirm having seen no aggressive attitude. They say that they felt no fear and that their curiosity was aroused. If these creatures were like those of our own territorial history, they would have come with sabers, harquebuses, cannons, stones, rocks, or other means of conquest. On Earth, aggressive behavior arouses fear, but by the descriptions we get, these beings have come to observe and try to signify that they mean no harm. Such behavior testifies to a superior form of organization by non-aggressive beings that do not need to kill in order to live. One can admit to the existence of these beings beyond the fancifulness in these reports, stories, observations, and statements. If they exist, we must call on them to intervene and help resolve the problems of the earth. They have come to study the people of the earth. Let them intervene and help resolve the problems of the earth. The central task on earth is to put an end to misery, hunger, unemployment, and war, to give everyone access to a dignified life and lay the basis for human fraternity. But for this to happen, the capitalist system must be eliminated, along with the bureaucracy of the workers' states and the communist parties that refuse to take power. But the fundamental obstacle is the capitalist system. We must destroy the military force it has today, destroy all the atomic weapons, destroy the military power of the capitalist system, of the Yankee, British, French imperialism, appeal to the masses, give them the means to destroy capitalism immediately, overcome the workers' state bureaucracy, and build a new society of socialism. When beings from other planets come along, we must call on them to intervene and collaborate with us for the suppression of misery. It will be possible to make ourselves understood by them. One must not rely on being immediately understood, of course, but if we think that they can exist, we must appeal to them anyway. Those of us who may have the possibility to contact such beings should not yield on an individual level to an individual kind of scientific curiosity based on the wish to see where they are from and to visit their worlds. We want to unite with them instead. They who seem more powerful than the humans. More powerful than the humans. So they come and help resolve the problems of the earth. When faced with beings from other worlds, one's behavior should be along those lines. The essential factor in any contact with them is that they could be immediately useful on Earth. After that, we will be concerned to go and see how other planets are like, how life and matter are organized, and what corresponds to nature over there. For the time being, the most important task is to resolve the problem of humanity on Earth. Our position regarding flying saucers is neither fanaticist nor idealist. Since we admit that they can exist, we want all possible means to be used, outside the Earth included. When we reach serious scientific conclusions, we must try and make them serve humanity. Alright. Basically, we want a benevolent, looking back, believes that an alien invasion or occupation would be inherently beneficial for humanity because they would not treat, because an invasion from them would not be treated in the same way we've invaded lesser societies of our own. They would be inherently beneficial. Alright. There's no limit to how much scientific capacity can develop. The fact that we can keep our full mental facilities up to 80 or 90 means that memory extends. It could be that they're extraterrestrial beings more than 1 million years old. Hasn't the human being existed for over 1 million years? Has it not reproduced incessantly without having to self-destroy or deconstruct before reproducing? With man's reproduction, not only matter does not disappear, but it persists as organized. And when a human life ends, it is only one form in the organization of matter that disappears. For it transforms itself and takes part in the transformation of other things. Hence, it may be that on other planets, matter changes form without having to abolish the state it is in, or itself as a living being. The kind of matter may be feeding into something else without having to start from ashes. For instance, what is the significance of a seed? A seed is matter in a primary state that stimulates other elements in order to reappear in other forms. Beings may therefore exist for whom there is no need to die, because they reproduce in this way. We are not affirming this, but it is entirely possible. The way we use energy on Earth is still very mechanical and rudimentary. What we use today is the transformation of matter into energy, but we do not use energy as it exists naturally. We should be able to do that, suppressing, for example, all the refining necessary to turn petrol into energy. One day, energy will come from the air. Electricity is one part of the structure and behavior of matter. We use it because we have discovered it, but it's very limited. Tomorrow we will not need electricity because energy is all around. The condition for the existence of any object is that it contains energy. The organization of the human body, brain, senses, and other organs is proper to our Earth. That it can be different on other planets. We eat this way. We eat because the human organism is constituted in a way that forces it to feed. This is to the partial advantage of capitalism because otherwise there would be no reason to live submitted to its regime. It is social organization that determines the scientific capacity of the human being. In private property, social organization is very limited because the elan. I think that's just kind of. What is an elan? This is weird. Alright. Sorry, got a bit distracted. Alright. Where was I? The elan, the courage, and the audacity it allows. Oh my gosh. Are governed by the interests linked to individual appropriation. Sorry, I keep losing my place. This kind of audacity is very limited because it stops when those interests are satisfied. Those human beings who go farther than this feel cast out. They come under social limitations that restrain their social capabilities. In the social society, social capability will be unlimited. The notions of life, existence, and society are measures to the objective need to live and progress. To socialism, the existence and progress will become one. There will be no notion of conservatism, parasitism, or passivity. As with matter itself, existence will mean progress, because matter does not exist if it does not transform and progress. The same goes for life in society. It cannot exist without progress. The social condition for human existence is progress. Progress, when it rules, will immediately give access to human audacity and keep capacity on an expansion a million times greater than in the system of private property. These qualities will no longer be hindered or determined by the interest of the individual. The whole of society will be engaged, giving confidence and reassurance. When the social mode of thought is entirely held in common, it will change the modes of living. We will not want more time to travel millions of light years away. For instance, than we need to now to go to the moon. A million years for us today will not be measured the same thing tomorrow. Simple solutions are going to be found to all the problems we now face due to being tied to Earth, gravity, atmospheric pressure. We shall find the answer to this essential problem, for it only wants social capacity organized in a single thought, that of a society that can resolve everything. Today, there are some universities, some facilities, some faculties, and some guys doing this thinking. But this will not always be. Universities exist today in being separate from the rest of society. They serve to exploit society for the benefit of capitalism. But we will not need them tomorrow because progress will be shared in common and between everyone. This is what human audacity looks like. Audacity in the face of nature. All of this is important to the Marxist formation and knowledge. Marxist knowledge is boundless because it does not just stop at the problems of social, economic, and political struggle. On any question, the comprehension of existence gives the confidence to look the solution in the face. There's no problem beyond the reach of humanity, and all the problems of humanity overlap. About the history of humanity, of society, and of matter, the more one knows and dominates, the more confidence one gains to face the facts resolutely and audaciously. With hardly any previous knowledge to preparations, a person scientifically equipped with Marxism and the dialectics can tackle any problem in any way, in any specialty. This is one vital aspect, and the other is socialist audacity, also to be found in the objectivity of Marxism. Okay. And this also is kind of more in line with general Marxist theory and beliefs, with the idea that within that dialectical materialism and the rules surrounding dialectical materialism and materialist dialectics are something that can be applied to anything, whether it be social analysis or organization, or indeed chemistry, biology, physics. Right. We are neither submitted to nor dependent upon what exists or what is coming. We are objective, and our thought knows no limits. The only limit comes from our lack of human capacity to understand more. For human capacity, too, is a product of the social relations. This is why knowledge and ability will be the new norm in the socialist society. Some scientific findings will surpass Marx, and this removes nothing from the historic importance from his historic importance. The development of history has brought to us conditions that did not exist in Marx's time. Soon, it will be scientific knowledge and social confidence for development of social capacity of humanity. For the present moment, we are not yet living in out socialism. We are still in this capitalist society. The critical mind is inherent to Marxism and its historic and inexhaustible power. It will remain paramount until a new form of interpretation is found, with a better grasp on the process of nature and the dialectic still one of its aspects. The critical mind is moved by the constant urge to revise, analyze, observe, and examine. Curious to see what effects and conclusions arise from the development of nature and society. Marxism is irreplaceable as a method to understand the history of the world. When forms of interpretation superior to Marxism are found, it will not be because Marxism is incorrect, but because humanity has reached a superior understanding. The dialectics will still be a part of that superior instrument. Scientists are studying the possibility of a ray that moves quicker than light. Such a possibility challenges all our present views about the structure of matter. This could explain why it's possible to find forms of life apparently inconceivable until now. About the forms of life, they are infinite. There are infinites of possible combinations, from the primary to all the superior ones. Kind of a weird way to phrase it. None of the people who admit to the existence of flying saucers have shown a disposition to build any scientific knowledge around it. They only feel compelled by a genuine fact. They do not have the systemic turn of mind or the objectivity to apply their knowledge in the social field. But if life exists on other planets and visits us, for example, it means that superior forms of social organization exist, where life is not plagued by war, as it is here. Those who accept the existence of flying saucers today are simply reporting. They act like someone who projects a light onto a wall and says, "This is light." They draw no conclusions. As opposed to this, we see in these problems the means to contribute to the understanding of history, to enhance the quality of audacity, therefore. Historic audacity rests on a pillar made of confidence. The Vietnamese masses prove this point. It is Marxism that provides this sort of confidence. It is very important to study these questions, although we have so little time to do it. We must concentrate on the problems facing us, but these other questions do not leave us indifferent, and we do not lose sight of them. We admit to the existence of extraterrestrials as a conclusion of dialectical thought. The latter fills us with the certainty that we can master any existing phenomena, and that we shall not be caught off guard. Matter of extraterrestrials and flying saucers do not put dialectical method in any doubt whatsoever. Indeed, they confirm it. The dialectical method gets reconfirmed at every turn. We consider that extraterrestrials and flying saucers can exist precisely because of what the dialectics teach us about the organization of matter. Matter can take infinite forms. For example, there is no reason why reproduction should always involve coupling. There may be self-reproduction, as in the case of the amoeba. And why shouldn't this be the case for any human being in the future? Well, that's something not typically covered in the whole meme culture of Posadism, the idea that humans will one day be able to asexually reproduce on their own. That's kind of, that should be made more part of the the memes of Posadism, the asexual reproduction. All right, we evolve back into amoeba. All right. About these beings from other planets, they come here to observe life. They must be laughing at humans fighting to see who can have the most cannons, cars, and wealth. The possession of riches is a distortion and is a social organization of the human's sentiment. Human sentiment is fraternal and collective, but the possession of wealth causes degeneration in it. Why do the bourgeois want 20 cars, 100 factories, and the rank of general? Why? What does that give them? Power for others, yes. And after? It does not give them any capacity to elevate and develop their intelligence. The opposite is the case, since this is precisely what limits their intelligence. The bourgeois class can have neither the inclination nor the perspective to develop society objectively. Indeed, it does exactly the reverse, and prevents society from developing. It only wants to know about profitable material goods, along with the perpetuation and extension of private property. This limits its ability to understand and prevents it from thinking. Even when the reports about flying saucers are fanaticists, as they mostly are, the historical basis for them is correct. Neither capitalism nor the worker state's bureaucracy can give explanations regarding this matter, nor can any bourgeois thinker. They are outflanked and outplayed, whilst those who could do it do not have the means, because they depend on the major scientific and research institutions, themselves dependent on capitalism. To try and understand these phenomena must serve not just the goal of knowing more, but to extend the application of Marxism to all branches of knowledge, like thought. For example, the speed of thought is still very limited today. Tomorrow it will be infinitely more powerful and rapid. When the class struggle is eliminated, when harmony is a requisite of life, thought will have an infinitely superior field of action and possibilities to develop. For deeper conclusions regarding these problems, one must follow them attentively, take a close interest, discuss, learn, and study them. Other phenomena, like those about UFOs, will occur, but a series of facts are already calling for attention. Might there be another universe where matter has developed similarly to here? If it is different, what form might it have? There's surely superior utilization of matter somewhere. What creates organisms is not arbitrary. They result from specific compositions and internal relations within matter. The structure of the organisms that we know came about when inorganic matter took on organic forms, and then evolved in particular environments. About the beings from other planets with a physiology reportedly similar to that of man, they may come from a process where the organization of matter is similar to our own, or they may have manipulated matter in order to adopt this form. If they really are around, their mastery of science can have enabled them to do this well, in the same way that we can move mountains on Earth. Where Mao Zedong proposes that we do this with some pickaxe and spade, those beings may be able to use the energy contained in the mountains. Who knows? It is not a problem we can resolve just now. They're neither the time nor the means as of yet. We are already able to engineer the reproduction of life. No doubt the same is done on other planets, and beings like those who can visit us can surely do this too. If we can transplant fundamental human organs like hearts and kidneys on Earth, then others can elaborate life in their own way where they live. Engels told us that already in his time it was possible to produce artificial protoplasm, the essential basis of a cell, a pillar of existence. The discussion of these problems will soon become more generalized because it is part of the progress of humanity in its integration with nature and the universe. Alright. That was the first reading in this pamphlet, Flying Saucers, the Process of Matter and Energy, Science and Socialism. All right. Let's take a little break before we continue um with the second one. But for anyone just joining, um it's probably a bit confusing because you hopped in the middle of the reading, but I hope you've learned at least a little something about his views. And honestly, yeah, I think a lot, like reading it, you can see like the typical like memes, like other than like the ideas of like like extraterrestrials and such. A lot of it is like has a lot of basis in typical far left thought. It's not the main unique parts is the idea of just of the of extraterrestrials. But anyways, we'll take a brief break because it's I've been streaming for an hour. We spent an hour reading the first one. Luckily, the second one's not as long, but just gonna take a brief break because my throat hurts a little from constant reading. But regardless, I hope it's been fun so far. But okay, I'm gonna have some water. Stay hydrated, y'all. You must stay hydrated if you're going to study Dolphin communism. All right. Think we can go ahead and go through the last one real quick, and then after that we can end stream. So this one is called The Relationship with the Animals and Socialism, from April 6, 1978. This one is where the idea of dolphins come from in regard to Posadism. Our visit to the zoological gardens was not intended to review the specimens of life that are generally classified as inferior. We did not go to either reassure ourselves that us humans are above the backwardness of the inferiors. We went to educate ourselves for the task that consists in helping harmonize the human being, the animal, and life as part of nature and the cosmos. Humanity already strives towards this aim. Apart from some texts by Marx and Engels, few Marxist writings deal with the relationship between humanity and the animals. We say humanity here, but it is not exact. Sorry. In this context, humanity is the ruling class. The ruling class drills its own concepts into humanity in our behavior towards the animals. What you see is the power relation of the humans towards each other. Marx and Engels were the first to investigate those concerns. Engels' book on the origin of the family, private property, and the state, from 1884, remains the most complete study on the function of class. It is short but complete. The power relations you observe in our treatment of the animals are those that are already existing in capitalist society. The way the animals are treated typifies the capitalist norms of power. These norms have little concern for the animal, particularly when they can no longer be exploited. We do not have the time to study this in greater depth, but we know that in socialism, humanity will appreciate the animals for what they are. It may be that humanity will want to continue to use animals for a while, but people will want to find alternatives. In socialism, humanity will want to organize and support life in every way. It will defend every form of life because every form of life is a link with the cosmos. Isn't our natural environment bathing in the cosmos? It's kind of a good point. But like Carl Sagan said, we're all stardust, and we as humans, as well as all the animals and life on Earth, owe our existence to violent cosmic processes in space. especially like the majority of like almost every element on the periodic table past iron was created in the split seconds of supernovae, because that was the only point where temperature and pressure was high enough where it could actually create those elements. In socialism, relations will no longer need power. We will no longer need to get something back from our relationship with the animals. Our relationship with the animals will be based on the appreciation of our common origins. The animals stayed at a given stage of development, and we developed further. So what? Neutron star mergers also make heavy elements besides iron. Yeah, but like, yeah, but it's like the general idea is, the point I was trying to make is that it's those incredibly violent processes that happen in space that create a lot of the elements heavier than iron, and then that some of them we need. Yeah. But no, even beyond that, things like carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, they are all created within the churning furnaces of stars. And that, I think, is just kind of beautiful. Like us, the animals come from the empirical stages in development of nature. Nature, not of the cosmos. It's important to study this. Our love for the animals is a source of harmony in our lives. It may be that we will have to continue carry on killing animals for some time. In due course, humanity will be making an experience of life so rich that even wild animals will stop being wild. In socialism, humanity will win the animals, incorporating them. More animals will become tame, others will become extinct in a way comparable to today. The rhinos and the giraffes are not likely to come back, but new species will emerge. Extinction is but one aspect of the many combinations in the organization of life on Earth. Life on Earth was organized in thousands of ways through thousands of reasons, all determined by the surrounding cosmos and by nature on Earth. Everything beyond iron requires excessive violence to make, except for lithium, beryllium, and boron, which requires small-scale localized violence to make. Yeah, there's a lot of cosmic processes are just incredibly violent. But I mean, that's kind of even then, like, the idea of them being violent is kind of relative. Like it's not really. It's just how. It's like, because we're kind of projecting like our feelings and humanity's perception on just neutral cosmic processes. When like, yeah, just because we are. Just because we would be shredded to bits by a supernova or by the intense heat and pressure of a star doesn't really mean all that much. But yeah. Harmony wants brute force replaced by knowledge and intelligence. It is questionable whether the fly has a great future, but the elephant is an intelligent creature and gets along with people. The affinity between the elephant and the human being is a sign of common roots. The human being yearns for harmony with nature. Harmony with nature needs knowledge and intelligence to replace brute force. Brute force is what we have today. The animals should not be in zoos. By making them captive, we feel a sense of superiority over them. It is to gloat or to justify ourselves that we deem the animal to be wild and not ourselves. Capitalism shows penned animals under a banner that says, "We are superior to the animals." Not far behind, another banner says, "Beware of the company of beasts that do not respect the law." The law being the ruling law, the capitalist law, the law of property. Humanity has developed a keen interest in all matters to do with the common origin and relationship with the animals. Darwin laid the ground, and some knowledge was acquired since. In society at large, the organization of the animals are not often considered. The scientists who look into the cellular basis of life are expected to link their studies with the ways life can become organized. Capitalism cannot do this objectively and dialectically. It would indict itself if it did. The capitalists do not look for evidence where their power might be questioned. Behind their constant insinuation that human being is more powerful than the animal, this is what they mean. Their narratives on the Paleolithic and Neolithic periods leave huge blanks. They show human progress without the principles behind its evolution. They do not deal with the evolution of historic stages, and they keep changing the estimates about the duration of past stages. The value of what they say is very relative. It'll be very relative. It will be entirely down to us, in the end, to explain, demonstrate, and organize everything for the elimination of all forms, the forms of oppression, imposition, and exploitation. The human being of today emerged from the empirical development of previous hominids. There's intelligence also in the animals. The lion and the elephant are intelligent. The bear also, and so is the monkey. Some of these are domesticated. We will analyze this further at a later date because we cannot do it now. We will do it as part of the study of human society, not of paleontology, and on the basis of science. Capitalism is the bane of human knowledge. We recognize the role of Darwin, but we condemn private property for having left these matters fall to neglect and empiricism. We denounce the capitalist class for not wanting to look beyond the protection of its power to exploit, to make war, to develop atomic weapons, and to threaten planet Earth. Capitalism stands in the way of the intelligent and thorough investigation of the cosmos. We condemn capitalism for these things. Had Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, Demosthenes, and Democritus, actually, I don't know, been able to change society, now we would have been in an entirely different historical era. It did not happen because private property blocked the way. Private property has been the bane of human knowledge. In spite of all this, however, we feel a deep sense of harmony for being part of the continuing struggle for all human progress. We've made it our task to root out all the hurdles in the way of progress. The worker states are not responsible for their own shortcomings. The limitations of the worker states come from private property, that is to say, from the way they were organized before they became worker states. The struggle goes on in the worker states. They must overcome bureaucracy and confront capitalism now on its last legs. They are responsible for every failure in the worker state. The responsibility for every failure in the worker states is to be laid at the door of private property. Private property separated the human beings from nature. It kept them continually at each other's throats, and it broke the harmony of Greek development. The Greeks grasped on this and sought to have it reversed. Lucretius wrote about it. Of course, no human development can happen without a corresponding system of production. We know this, but it does not stop us from making an assessment of private property. This is how history has been. The Greeks could not have known this, but we do. It is hard for the people today to bear the disharmony between nature, our human past, and our human aims. People turn to the animals in want of harmony, less in search of common ancestry than to integrate all the fruits of nature in human quest for progress. We already communicate a lot with animals, not so much with the fish, but a little more with the shark and a lot with the dolphin. Dolphins. We're here. Alright. We cannot do more because the elements in the structure standing out in our way still need removing. With the intelligence of communist society is established, it will beam outwards in all directions and towards all the animals. Other thing to keep in mind, this one was written in 1978. It was before that we had a widespread scientific consensus on climate change, and he would just as if he was writing it today, he would just as much be condemning capitalism as the cause of climate change, as well as sowing disharmony among animals. I digress. The capitalist class marks the thought of human harmony. The humans have developed an intelligence superior to that of animals, certainly. They developed qualities, means, and forms that the animals did not. This is so, but human intelligence is a product of social life, and no single human being could have done it. One intelligence is not the point, however. The point is to develop objective love and harmonious relations with all that exists. It is not easy to feel love for reptiles, but there are reptiles too that can obey you. This means that there is a common origin in the brain formation, which diversified afterwards under particular genetic and organic conditions. Humanity longs for the harmony that unites all the forms of life, as part of the organization of nature in the interests of all. Less and less importance is given today to the animals because they play diminishing roles in production. It is not that capitalism has learned to respect them, but that their labor is no longer economic. The capitalist class discards the animals because it no longer needs them. As a class, it cannot develop any sense of harmony with them any more than it does for the rest of life, nature, the cosmos, or even itself, such as private property. The development of the large-scale capitalist countries took place through the use of slavery. The ruling classes of Portugal, France, North America, Britain, and Germany all took part. Harmony between human beings and nature was not going to be for them. They only allowed for the harmony required by capital accumulation, and from then on, their only concern would be the appropriation, competition, and war. These people laughed at the thought of human harmony. Private property in the means of production meant private property dominating the science and the technology of production. It's basically truncated the development of science. It stopped the development of entire countries, starting with the colonized peoples, black people, mixed race, indigenous populations, and so many more. Capitalism does not want to investigate these matters. Even after Darwin, anthropological and zoological science stayed very limited. One of the best anthropologies is that of Lewis H. Morgan, who gave them principles for history of the human relations. After him, there remained to study the principles that link the human being, the animal, and the nature and the universe. It was not, and is not in the interest of capitalism to do so. It is the Soviet Union that started along those lines. The task is to eliminate every form of egotism. In the history of the organization of intelligence after the Greeks, the salient period is that of the Renaissance. Private property that curtailed the Greeks curtailed the Renaissance too. It is true that the Renaissance was able to go farther than the Greeks in some major ways. But from our position of hindsight today, 2,000 years after the Greeks, we verify that private property has been the bane of the progress of history. Perforce, this led to science being partial. Science aimed at stopping the necessary organization of humanity. Science used to stop the objective capacity of humanity to think as a humankind. This was motivated, and still is, by the compulsion of the ruling class to keep everything for itself, to use the use of nature included, the use of the animals, and the use of human beings. With this visit to the zoo, we sought to be preoccupied with the question of where humanity comes from, and this in order to know better where humanity is going. The obstacle in the way of knowing better is private property. For humanity to know where it comes from and where it goes to, it must end private property. People are becoming increasingly interested in this subject. There is a general English. Awful language. There is a general acceptation that humanity is going to the cosmos. People see well beyond the Earth already. They see Earth as part of the cosmos. Our concern for the animals does not try and make an empirical defense of the animals, but a harmonious appraisal of what conduct to have as human beings towards them and everything that exists. We seek harmony with the animals, hence with nature, as a means to contact the origins and the birth of life. We seek this harmony because it possesses the elimination of all egotism, appropriation, imposition, and arrogance. With the end of capitalism, it is not just private property that comes down, but all the forms of utilization of nature and life for individual and class gains. We deem our preoccupation to be eminently just and fair. The Greeks were interested in this. They could not develop this thought to the full, but they had these concerns. What we know today about the universe is very insufficient. The foresight, the intuition, and desire to understand the movement of the world are expressions of humanity's deeper grasp that is part of the movement of the universe. In itself, this gives a great sense of utility. Not utility on Earth with the ruling class, no, the utility of the cosmos. The preoccupation for such things is growing. Soon it'll captivate all of humanity. And there we go. Thank you. Oh my gosh. I can't believe we just sat through and for an hour reading all that. I don't know what to do now. But I hope you did enjoy. If you learned something or I just had fun listening to me read. I hope you get a bit more knowledge about what this man actually believed outside of just any memes about Posadism that have become kind of prevalent on the internet. Yeah, I have no clue what to do now. Ugh. My throat, it's very worn out from just an hour of reading. I'm not too used to reading out for audiences, but it was kind of fun. Anyways, I think it'd probably be best if I just wrap it up here. Thank you, and goodbye. I need to get something to drink.